What's going on, guys? Jason here, Morph, Mixology, Reptiles. Welcome back to the live stream. I am smoked, you guys. We're just gone all last week. Obviously, didn't have a live stream. Was out of town down in southern Alabama, over by Pensacola area, and then got back and had family in town. And it's just been a whirlwind, but we're here because we got a pretty cool interview tonight. This guy in particular is not as in the limelight and as extroverted as some of us can be, but Cusco got him out on screen, so I figured it was my turn to try to do the same. And so I guess without further ado, let's bring in Mike and Emily. What's up, you guys?
What's up, man? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Thank you, Emily, by the way, for running interference for me here, trying to get Mike on board. I figured that'd probably be a lot easier than just going straight to him.
Oh, it is. I'm the only one that can get him out there. Takes a lot of pressure.
So, Mike, first of all, it's pronounced Brizzee. Is that correct?
Brizzee.
Brizzee. Okay. What's the background on that? Where's that from?
Oh, no. I believe there's a little French origin in that. I don't get big, long story short, but I was really big into the ancestry.com and all that crap and was researching the name. Got it back to some parts of Europe, southern Germany, that kind of stuff. And then kind of just let it go. Basically got to the point I found the old family tree that my grandfather had worked on, and basically found out that I was adopted, and the parents that I had actually weren't my parents. So I kind of,
oh wow,
this was when I was like 33, and
whoa,
so yeah, so it kind of put a squish on that. So the breezy aspect, I just left it at that.
Yeah, no, that's.
I think it's a little bit of European, but I don't know specifically where. I kind of quit looking.
That's wild. That's super interesting.
That's super fucked up, but
yeah, no doubt. I mean, not to pry on personal business, but did you ever find out why that was never brought up when you were a kid or when you were?
Yeah, apparently, my mom had an affair with the Luftwaffe pilot, and he was over here, I guess, doing aviation training in El Paso, and they had their fling, and then he got sent back to Germany. She had subsequently met, I guess, what I consider my dad, met him, and they started dating. And then she turned out she was already pregnant. And so they basically just went forward with it like I was his kid, and birth certificate and all that stuff is my dad, but really technically biologically.
So your mom is, however, but your dad is not?
Correct.
Interesting. Do you have any idea who your biological dad is?
She gave me some stuff back when this happened. This is probably 2005, 6, somewhere in there. And I looked at, I looked like the guy, but at that point my head was not in the right place, and I just threw all the shit away. I just didn't want nothing to do with it.
Wow. Huh. I mean, I would never guess, because obviously I would have no way of knowing. You and I have never actually met in person because I live in the middle of nowhere and have a 9-month-old and can't get to shows. But it seems so out of left field. That's not what I expected. Not expected to hear. So
that kind of hints. I kind of really stopped researching the name origin. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it makes me love my dad that much more, because I look back now retrospectively, I'm like, man, I was a horrible fucking kid, and I did some pretty rotten shit. And even when they'd actually end up getting divorced, and I picked to go live with him, and he took me, and I put myself in that shoe, and I was like, holy fuck, I don't know if I could have done that. I'd been like, fuck you, you little bastard, I'm not even your real dad, go back to your mom or something. He could have done that, because I did some really bad shit. And it just makes me love him that much more that he would go through all that shit, even though biologically wasn't his. But
Yeah. I have kind of a colored past too, but we can leave that for a different discussion. That's interesting because here already in the chat, Troy's saying that he's adopted as well. And
how come I don't see chat?
Right there.
So
okay.
Yeah, on the far right, you should be able to pull up the comments and that. But he's adopted, and then Florida Man Reptiles said that they're also adopted. For some, it can be a touchy subject, and others, it's superpower. It's, and it's one of those things like.
Well, I don't hate to interrupt you, but I was like, no. I think I'm a pretty rational person, and like all they had to do is just sit down and tell me that, not keep it a secret, and that's what really, I guess, chapped my ass is like it was basically kept secret, and they come to find out when my grandmother passed away. That was like her dying wish was, you got to tell him, you got to tell him, you got to tell him. And they never did. And so that's kind of what chaps my ass is. All they had to do is tell me and I would have understood, but.
So did you find out then from someone else other than
no, like my grandpa was like, I'm gonna date myself, but he's like old school, and everything that he was doing for genealogy aspects was mailing letters to people, and I have all these letters coming back where they're tracing their aunts and uncles and second cousins, and they're making ties that way. That's kind of really before Ancestry kind of got started. And then when I got onto it, Ancestry had just started, so I started plugging away in it. And at that time, that's when my grandmother passed away. And I basically took all his research that he had did, and part of it was like a big architectural design drawing where you unroll it and it's like a 4x6 piece of paper, and it's just a manually drawn like family tree.
Wow.
And I'm tracing all this stuff back, and I get to me and it's like a parentheses adopted, and I'm like, I'm trying to think, okay, well, anybody else in my family got Mike or Michael? I mean, no, that's my parents, that's my sister, but why am I? And it just took a while for it clicked. When it did, I mean, I basically got on the phone, I called my mom, and I was like, what's the fuck's this shit I'm seeing on the grandpa stuff that it says I'm adopted? And she just busted out crying. And I knew it was true, and I just kind of left it at that and went away.
You've got siblings as well?
Yeah, half sister. Well, technically a half sister and half brother.
But through
all different dads.
Oh, okay. So never mind then.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Wow. And then Emily, your last name is Krug, is that correct?
Krug.
I can't get any of them right. When I sat down with Cusco, I was like, all right, I need to clear this out. Cusco or Cusco? He's like, whatever you feel like, but the family calls it Cusco. It's like, I mean, you got to have a right answer. Yeah, what is your background, Emily?
I don't know what's really my background.
I mean, for hereditary wise, for
what would you guess that her nationality is?
Oh, dude, I'm so bad at that. And as a middle-aged white man, I'm not allowed to guess at any of that anymore. It's offensive. I would guess maybe some amount of like Pacific Islander, Filipino, something like that. But
no,
either that or she's just really tan.
No, you're good.
That's kind of like everybody's guess is Hispanic or Mexican
or Italian.
Okay,
it's so far out in the field.
I was gonna say, or more towards Middle East, like Armenian, kind of like Kim Kardashian in that realm.
Yeah, so my dad is full Indian from India.
Oh wow, okay.
Or I guess I should call him my sperm donor. He's a deadbeat. And then my mom is half German, half Irish. So she's blonde hair, blue eyed.
That's a hell of a mix.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I have my dad. I have 3 other brothers. We're half siblings. He was married and then had them and then got divorced. I'm sure we have plenty of more siblings. He's not a very stand-up guy. So wow. I was off of pretty much a one-night stand, and then that was it. And I met him on accident when I was 18 once. And
by accident?
Yeah, so his dad, my grandpa, had a brain aneurysm and a stroke. So we all flew, me and my brothers, to California to go see him in the hospital. And I walked in, and my dad is sitting right there.
And did you know?
Yeah, we both knew, but I kind of just looked at him and walked out. So
Oh, weird.
yeah, he's not the greatest guy.
Well, I mean, and so is your mom then a single mom or later married otherwise?
Yeah, she's a single mom. I scared all her boyfriends away.
They're the real superheroes in this world, that's for sure. Are the moms that, I mean, there's good, don't get me wrong, there's obviously good single dads, and there's dads like yours, Mike, that just stepped into the position and did it, you know, and whatnot. But there's so many single moms out there with, you know, 2-3 kids, whatever, and they're just going for it. And I mean, to the same level, I know very little, but some about your background, Emily, and I know that you've got a little one as well. And so that I got a thing for single moms. I just think they're incredible. You know, that's just, you don't get a choice, but you know, it's the way that they step up, and that's pretty rad. Since you've got some Indian heritage, do you speak Hindi or anything like that? You have no ties to it at all?
No, I don't really associate with that side of the family. Like, I talk to my brothers every once in a while, but I hang out with my mom and her side of the family, and that's about it.
Okay, as long as you got some family support, that's all that matters. I'd rather have some than all of the bad stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
So what is your guys' story? Because I know, Mike, I can't say recently anymore. The last year and a half has been an absolute blur. So I don't know how dated this is, but you're recently divorced. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then how did you two come to meet?
John at Morph Market.
Really? Is he local to you guys?
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know that
personally, but it's through Morph Market.
You can tell the story.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of a story time here.
No.
I bought my second snake from him.
Oh, I see.
Through Morph Market.
It's like hooking up with your drug dealer. I get it. So, and then Mike, tell me about how or who started the Texas Mafia. How did that come to be a thing, like in Arlington? You guys, this year, you had what, the entire center section of the facility? And
I guess a few years ago, well, a lot of years ago, basically me and JT we always went to the same shows, and we just like, hey, we should finally just get together and we can just put our stuff together and make a bigger presentation. Because like the first couple of NRBCs we went to were with like one little tiny table by herself with a couple displays, and that's when you had Barcheck taking up half the freaking building, Will Banks taking up the other half of the building, Bob Clark's taking up a quarter of the building. And so we finally decided we'll just start putting our stuff together. And we did for a couple of shows, and then I don't know if you know Jack and Heidi.
Yep, I'm gonna have them on as well at some point.
They were customers of mine, and got to the point where they'd raised all their stuff up and got into the breeding, and they would come to the shows and help me vend. And then it got to the point where they're making their own babies, and I'm like, well, shit, me and JT's already vending. We can just talk with Brian and see if we can just add another spot, and you guys will just come vend with us. And it basically was just a bunch of us friends getting together to get a bigger footprint, and to where it is now, it's basically it's all JT, but JT bought his sponsorship for NERBC with ReptiChip. And part of that sponsorship gives you a higher priority in table selection and the footprint of where you want to be in the building.
Yeah.
So, we are good friends with Brian, but it's still somewhat business. Like, it took a while to get to where we were, just having to wait in the line for people to drop off rotation or quit their sponsorship and add him to it. And then it basically just has kind of grown from there. And like, a lot of people in our group are all prior customers of ours, and it's just, they've grown to the point where they're their own little mini breeder or big breeder on some cases. Like Cody and Alex, Brian, I don't know if you know him, but he's here in Texas, and he bought some of his first snakes from Jack and me. Fast forward 3.5 years later, and
He's crushing it.
Yeah, he bred 2 double head monsoon somethings together and hatched out 5 visual monsoons.
Oh, jeez.
So the first show he went and vended, he sold a $20,000 snake. Yeah, and I still haven't done that. No,
God, couldn't we all be so lucky?
Yeah. But I mean, it's been just our little friend. I mean, not like I said we're cliquey or anything, but it's just been our little tight group of friends that when we go to shows, it's like coming to the house and hanging out at 4th of July just to hang out. And that's what we do at the weekend. We go to a snake show and we all hang out, and it works because like some of the stuff, like the stuff I'm breeding is not necessarily the same stuff Jack's doing or what JT's doing. I mean, some of it might cross where you have the same type of OD combo or whatever, but generally we're all kind of unique in what we're making or selling.
Yeah.
And so it works where, I don't have that, but JT has something over here you could look at, and it works that way where they send people to me and I'll send them to them, and it works. I mean, I don't know the mafia aspect. I don't know about that, but
I think that's what Brian dubbed you guys, was the Texas Mafia. But
we're just a big group of close friends.
Is one of the prerequisites you got to be in Texas? Is that priority number one?
I wouldn't even say so. No, because like if Rick ever came out here, Rick would be doing it.
That's true.
I mean, but as of now, it's just mostly, at least with and that really only happens with NARBC and the 2 of the herp shows.
Yeah.
And then when you start spreading out the other shows that were happening, they're either in different locations, and a lot of us aren't going to go make the trip for it. So it's not the same footprint, but those 2 shows we generally always been together. It
does seem like there's a pretty large number of you guys all within probably 3-4 hour radius of each other down there in Texas, and that there's between you guys, JT, Austin, James Durling, Jack and Heidi, like there's a huge group of you guys down there.
Yeah, James is probably the furthest.
He's like 9 hours or something like that.
Oh, is he really?
Us are only about like 3 or 4.
Yeah, 4 probably is a good average.
I had James on here a couple weeks ago because from our start, James was probably one of the heads of the we're going to watch this kid stick his foot in his mouth and crash and burn inside of 12 months. It's going to be amazing club. And then turned to probably one of our biggest supporters when I didn't. I just kept fighting everybody off and doing my thing. And so I brought him on because I talked to him somewhat. Actually, it had been quite a while since I had talked to him. And then this whole thing with Chris Searcy, Ball Pythons 101, blew up a few months ago. And I reached out to James. I'm like, this guy's shooting himself all kinds of in the foot. And we kept going back and forth. And so I brought him on, and it was like, just to kind of hash it out. I said, all right, what is it that brought you to watch my demise and then now come around and be a big sport? I like James a lot. He's a really good dude. Austin's the same way. Austin was on this train to watch me crash and burn, and now I talk to him probably once a week, and so it's been an interesting couple of years for sure, just trying to break into that group, you know what I mean? So what as far as your season, you and I talked a little bit off before we got started, what's it like in your world right now?
It's not happening. No, it's just been a rough year. It's like you already know how it works when you move females.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Doing the separation and divorce, I end up moving all the snakes from San Antonio to Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Had them stabilized for
a while. That was a year ago.
4 or 5 months. And then we had that fucking stupid fucking winter getting bullshit that we had.
Yeah, how'd you guys fare?
We didn't. It dumped power in the house for like a week. The pipes froze. The pipes ruptured when they warmed up.
Oh shit!
And it was a rental, and so like I had to move the snakes again, and I basically put them here temporarily, and then end up putting them at Sean Barnett's facility, and so they were there for like about 3 months.
And then moved them again.
And it was supposed to be. And I get it. It's like, hey, come get your stuff over here until you get your house back. Well, come to find out that we never got the house back because the landlord basically went through a divorce. So the opposite person we had the rental contract with won the house.
Oh no.
And so we didn't have a place to go back to. And so it's been looking for somewhere that we can have 4 dogs and a couple hundred snakes. And on the rental aspect, it's pretty rough to do that. And
yeah,
looking into the buying market, and the buying market is just completely stupid here right now. It's like people are listing a house for say $250 and it's selling for $315, $320
cash.
Yeah. And it's just like,
it's,
so, I mean, well, we want a house really bad, but I'm not going to basically go upside down on a freaking house.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And it's all my people from California coming out and ruining it for everybody. That's what it is.
And back to the snake aspect. So it's Sean has been in the process of, I guess, redesigning his facility, and he just got in like 16 new ARS racks, and the little footprint that I was taking in the corner of the shop was part of that. And so I had to basically move the stuff again. So right now it's like divided up between 4 of my friends.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I got, I think, 4 clutches right now. Hers is one from her was 5. And like I was telling you already, it's going to maybe 8 to 10 if I'm super lucky. But it is what it is. It's just going to take time for us to get stabilized and be able to move them into, I want to say, a stable environment where they can adjust and start going through their normal routine again. But this year and last year has just been complete fucking garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's weird. It seems like you're either one of 2 camps over the last 18 months. You were either everybody's sales were 40 and 50% higher last year than the year prior because all the stimulus checks and everybody's sitting at home doing nothing and everything else.
No, I would agree with that. There's been a couple shows I've made over 15 grand.
Yeah.
I mean, the people are definitely buying the animals. I'm just at the point now where it's like,
we don't have anything.
Hey, I'm saving shit because we have Herps Conroe's coming up in 2 weeks.
And then Tinley.
And then Schaumburg is the week after that. And so I have like 40 babies that I've been kind of just setting and not really replying to messages or Morph Market or any of that kind of stuff. It's like I'm just kind of saving it for those 2 shows. Generally, you don't have that. It's like you go to show, you sell some, and then you got more hatching right behind them. And this year, it's just not happening. So I'm kind of down to the bare bones right now.
How'd you do at Tinley or at Arlington?
That's good. I mean, number wise, I think I did like 12-6, I think.
That's not bad. Yeah.
And it was like, I think I thought almost 30 animals.
See, the problem we have up here is we just don't have access to the number of shows to bring a large volume of people. We have a local show here in town once, sometimes twice a year. There's another one that's about 4 hours from here. It's actually this weekend, and I'm sending a handful of hatchlings from last year I have left with a friend of mine because I'm not going to drive 4 hours with a 9-month-old event for half dozen animals. You know what I mean? And but then other than that, the closest thing for us is the Denver shows. Now, Herps has made their way up to Pueblo and Colorado Springs and that kind of thing, but that's still an 8 to 9 hour drive. So, it's $1,000 weekend before I ever put a snake on the table.
For sure. It's like a 22-hour drive, I think, from here to Tinley.
Yeah, so you got to go with some, with some horsepower and some plans to actually move some animals, make that worth the trip.
Yep.
And we just
halfway, right? Last year.
Yeah. So I mean, even like what last year, I guess, well, not even last year, the last time they had it, I think we had just went through where's that place Josh lives?
Fort Scott.
Well, no, that big city we drive through. Where we turned around.
I don't remember, but it was like March when
Joplin?
COVID. Joplin, yeah.
Joplin?
We got like halfway, and then they were like, "Oh, COVID, it's canceled."
Yeah.
So we had to turn all the way around with all the animals.
That was brutal because I've not been to Tinley yet. The last 3 years I wanted to go. I've had something in my schedule that didn't allow it, and I was watching on Instagram stories and and everything else, watching that unfold in real time, and knowing that Cusco and Dave Kaufman, those guys were coming back from Australia at the same time, going straight to the show. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden I see Garrett Hartle show up in the parking lot, and you're like, there's nobody here. Everybody's turning around, going home, and they've shut down for the week. I'm like, I could not believe especially like you guys, some of the distance people travel to do that.
No, it wasn't that bad. I mean, Brian actually called me and told me what was going on, and
Yeah, so we stopped driving for
even
3
gave me
hours?
like a 30-minute warning. Said, "Hey, just give you up the mayor's in there doing their council now, debating whether we're going to have the show. Just be on standby." And I'm like, "Okay." And like we were in Joplin when he called and said, "Sorry, man, they canceled it." Man.
Jeez, yeah, that sucks. So, as for you, a side gig, I imagine. Can you tell me about what all of this stuff is in the background of your shot here?
I'm a Lego nerd, and like I said, I say I'm a Star Wars nerd, and it happened to fall in that most of the stuff I like was Lego type stuff. So I would get all the big, massive Lego sets and put them on display and wait for the next quarter, and that's just what I did. I enjoy, and maybe I don't know, introvert or whatever, but OCD aspect to me loves fucking breaking the set open, sorting all the pieces, and just I love building stuff, you know.
What is the term for that? Isn't there a word for when you open the bag and you put them all into like their color code or size or whatever? There's a term for that.
Sorting?
No, yes, but I'll have to look it up. There's a specific like Lego term for separating all the pieces out into like their colors or what however.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm that diehard, but like I'd always did that, and then just over time, cats will knock us. Like I'm great at building it for the first time, but if it's already been built and it falls over, it just goes in a bucket, you know. And a couple, like I'm a Navy guy, so I've done a big cross country moves, and it's fragile stuff when some of the sets are done. And it got to the point where I got on eBay and started selling some of the older stuff so I could get the newer stuff coming out. And basically, I stumbled across a website called Bricklink, and this was kind of, I guess, to back up a little bit, but during that process of the eBay stuff with the moves and stuff, and it's always been, I want to say, faddish for me, where a couple of years I'll be really diehard on it, and then it'll sit on the back burner for a couple months, or for a year or 2 years, and then I got back into eBay because I basically got back into Lego, and I was like, yeah, I can go buy this set on Lego for $300. I can get on eBay for $150, and it's missing 10 pieces. And so I would buy the set, bring it in, inventory it, find out what I needed. And Lego's really good because they actually list all their stuff online. Yeah. So you can go through the parts catalog and figure out what exactly you need. And I would go through Lego and buy those pieces. And then during that process, it's just coincidentally, I had an issue with one of my orders, so I called Lego and I was like, "Hey, I'm trying to get this. This is what I'm trying to build." And they're like, "Well, you should go try Bricklink." And I went over and looked at that, and it's basically I don't know, the easiest way to describe it. It's like eBay, but just Legos. So it's a whole bunch of individuals that have like a Lego store. And you can buy individual parts or whatever, some sets, whatever you're looking for, they have it. And the bonus is it's like 40, 50% cheaper than buying it through Lego. And they're still new parts. Over time, you know, I just got into like more of the purchaser aspect to it, where I would start buying it and I don't know, just to finish sets, whatever, but I was a purchaser, really wasn't a seller. Then it got to the point, like I've been doing this probably since 92, 93. And I have like tubs and tubs and tubs and tubs of old sets that have fallen or broken or didn't make a move or whatever. And I was like, I need to get rid of some of this shit. And so I started going on YouTube, looking up Bricklink stores, how to become a seller, what people were doing, all that kind of shit. And then come to find out that's where, I don't know if you ever saw like the Walmart posts where I would post a cart of freaking 2 full carts full of Lego sets. You know? Yeah. And come to find out that basically got into the buyer's perspective to it, where the big box stores do quarterly clearances. They have more of like a reset for the store. And even though like it still may be a brand new set as far as what Lego's concerned, but if it's been on the shelf for a blank amount of days, Lego puts it on clearance, or Walmart or Target will put it on clearance. And then there's an actual app that actually tracks Walmart's and Target Best Buy, Lowe's, their databases, and it links with it. So if I have a saved search for a certain Lego set, I'll get a notification saying, hey, this set just went on sale at whatever. And the best part of that is like the computer system has put that set on sale, but the store hasn't, as far as the employees. So if you would go to the store and walk around and look at the Lego aisle, all the prices are still full price. But if you use your phone and bring up the app with Walmart and scan it, it'll actually give you the clearance price that it dropped to. And so it kind of gives you into, I don't know, wholesale purchasing of Lego in a big picture aspect to it, because you're basically buying, say, $100 set. I'm picking it up for $30.
Whoa.
And when, like, at least as me as a seller, you know, like I like to have it like a 3 or a 4 times part out value. So what that means, say if I bought a set for $20, it's on clearance, the value of all those parts together have to at least be $60 or more for me to buy it to make it worthwhile. And so I basically fell into that and learned how it worked. And so every quarter I go over hit probably no joke, probably 50 Walmarts within 3 or 4 days. And I'll buy $5,000 worth of Lego on clearance. And
wow.
But to put it in perspective, like that $5,000 that I'm putting into it equates to 15 to 20 grand throughout the year.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And so like I said, a typical Lego set is probably average anywhere from 10 to 12 cents a part. So if you're at the store and you look at a set and it's got 1,200 pieces to it, you should know that the average retail on that set's probably $120. And so when you're
okay.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a formula to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good average.
An average,
but
yeah.
You said get into the trademark and licensings, where if you're talking like, I don't know, Marvel, DC, the Star Wars, anything that's licensed, it's going to be a little bit higher.
Of course, yeah.
But that 10 to 12 is a good average. But when I'm buying them on clearance and I'm getting them for 3 or 4 cents, you know, and that includes like the people parts and the actual minifigure, and especially some of the Marvel ones where you get 8 to 10 characters in a set, and each one of those guys sell for 10, 12, $15 a piece. So, and a lot of the stuff that you buy, a lot of the stuff that you buy, just the minifigs pay for the whole set. And so then you have all the parts that come with it are basically free inventory is how I look at it. And then, like I said, it's kind of just been a big moss wheels, and it's just been going and going and going. And fuck, I want to say like we're in the process of getting the rental contract for getting a house for a rental aspect. And part of that, I had to go back and pull up all my PayPal stubs for the store for Bricklink.
Yeah.
And I'm at like $5,000, $5,000, $5,000, $4,000, 3,500, $4,000 for the last 6 months. That's what this is bringing in. And it's just stupid. I mean, I can't even explain it. Like when I first started was the beginning of last year, and I was like, just fun to kind of see what would happen, you know?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh man, this is great. I made $200 this month on just Lego. I can go get whatever type of sets or whatever. And that was my initial goal for it. And then with falling into the clearance deals and learning how that worked. I mean, it's been like back when we were talking on the phone. I mean, I'd call Emily because I'd already cleaned San Antonio out, and I was like, hey, they just dropped whatever set for blanky blank, and it's at these 2 Walmarts, go. And she would take off and go, and she would come home with 40 of the same set, you know. And then you start adding 1,000 pieces to those type of numbers, you know. And like I'm at like 480 something thousand parts for the store right now. And
oh my God.
Yeah, I average probably anywhere from 5 to 10 orders a day. And like you wouldn't think that there's that big of a demand for Lego, but it's just completely stupid.
Tell them about your order the other day.
Yeah, and like I said, I think I put it on Facebook. I just had a $600 something Lego order. It was like 15 pounds of.
It was a massive.
It was
box.
like 3,000 something parts.
Yeah,
Like,
I think I saw that. Yeah.
20 something pages. It took us 3 days for both of us to do it.
And it's just stupid. I mean, but a lot of people that aren't in the snake world think you're a fucking idiot because you spent more than $100 for a snake. You know, but they just don't understand. But with the Lego world, it's a lot bigger than what I initially thought, and it hasn't slowed down. I mean, it's just been insane, and it's turned into, I don't want to say like a side hobby to actually like I do consider it my full-time job now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every day I'm pulling orders and I'm parting stuff out, and I mean, it's just nonstop.
So you don't resell the actual complete sets. Like, you go buy them specifically to piece them out in inventory, individual blocks, and then people order from you. They need 30 black 2x1 squares.
Yeah. I mean, like you can see like here.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like,
are those sea serpent racks? That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, no, these are, what are these fucking things?
They're those
Acro Mills, Acro Mill storage containers.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's just, where's my camera? Like one box of just the same part.
Your jacket.
Wow.
What'd you just do?
You did something. Go back. Go to your internet.
There we go. But I mean, it's like that where people just come in and buy it. So like I'll part stuff out, and yeah, there are some sets that you can make decent money on just flipping the set. But for me, the value I think long term is you part it out, and you would, I mean, even like some of the Friends stuff where you got like the most bizarre,
I have one of those sets.
pastel-y colors, like bright pink, and who in the hell's ever going to make a cool mock with a bright pink tile or whatever, you know? But even that shit sells. And it's like, there's been stuff where I'm like, I'm just going to throw this in the garbage because I don't even want to deal with it. And she's like, no, somebody buy it. And lo and behold, a month later, somebody bought that shit. And it'd be the most stupidest thing that.
It was like a big purple sparkly tunnel.
Yeah.
Like slide tunnel.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm throwing this away. And then someone bought like all 40 of them.
Of course.
We're just like, what are you doing with it?
Yep. Yeah.
So do you have any idea how many pieces you have?
They're like 480 something thousand.
Jesus.
The brick separators, what was that? That
was just the stuff that's been broken down and put into the store. I mean, I still have a whole storage unit. It's probably got 200 sets in it. And I just
apparently, by the way, the term is called knolling. KNOLLING. It says knolling is the process of arranging related. Kind of. It says the process of arranging related objects in parallel or 90-degree angles and organization, often used in Lego. So you have knolled an entire freaking room, which again sounds kind of gay now that I say it out loud. That's insane. So is it fair? I mean, is it fair for me to assume you don't have a quote unquote real job?
No, I retired from the Navy, so I got my retirement.
Okay.
And then I've always used the snakes as kind of like side gig money.
Yeah.
And Legos was like, it was never really a job. And then with going through the separation, divorce, it's just kind of, I don't say grown out of control, but in a way it did. But it's to the point where actually PayPal actually sent me a 1099 this year just for this crap. And
wow.
It can, and the potential is to even get bigger. And it's like I guess the trick with Lego is like anybody and like the Brick Link, there's probably thousands and thousands of people's stores on there.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are 16, 17-year-old kids that put 3 sets in. So their inventory is 3,000 parts, 4,000 parts. And like, go back to what I was saying about earlier, where if I'm buying a set off eBay and I want to buy the parts to finish that set, I'm not going to go to 4 different stores to buy all those different parts and spend $4 to $5 on shipping at each store.
Yeah.
And so like the trick with the Lego is basically your piece count and a lot count. So the lot count being your variety of the different types of pieces in associated colors. And so the higher lot count you have and the higher piece count you have, the more, I guess, availability you are to the database in itself. Like, say, for when I was looking for one of those sets, I can go in and create a wanted list of all the parts I want and say find, and it brings up all the stores that have those parts. But a lot of them only have part of the parts, or only 2 or 3. Say I need 50 pieces, but only 4 stores have all 50. Me as a buyer, I'm only going to those 4 stores where I can get it all in one shot.
Yeah.
And so the Lego aspect is basically that. So it's basically, this last year has been growing my lot count to make that overall diversity bigger. So you're getting a higher and higher, I guess, customer exposure. And it's been, God, I want to say it's worked 100%. I mean, because I think this time last year I would have been, like, I started it last January. And so this time last year I probably had maybe 30, 40,000 parts in the store. And I was probably getting 2 orders a week, maybe. In this last year of basically expanding the lot count, and the good thing with the clearance aspect, it's always a different set that's on clearance than it was the prior quarter. So you're adding a whole different type of set with different colors, different piece types. And just over the time, I've been able to grow that lot count to where I can't say I'm the best Bricklink store out there, but I think in Texas, I'm probably,
aren't you like number 3?
Number 2 or number 3?
Yeah.
As far as the biggest Lego store. In the country, I don't know. I got to be in the top 50, I would think. And most of the stuff that I ship out is not in Texas. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a phenomenon I haven't quite figured out. I'm just enjoying it and taking advantage of it.
That's crazy. Like, I had no idea that there was.
Yeah, but I mean, literally, like, last year doing taxes, I did $68,000 in Lego pieces. I mean, and that's not personal income. That's not the snake money. That's just fucking Legos. And I probably got maybe 15 put into it.
Wow. So unlike when Chris Eaton asks all of us that have been on his 15 minutes of lame, how much we've put into to get to where we are, how long we've been doing it, and how much we've made back. And everybody says, you know, 10,000, 15,000, 70,000, 100,000, and we've made $27 in the last 4 years. Like, you like, somehow this has just turned into an actual thing for you. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, and that's like, it was never intended that way. It's just
that's
happened.
Awesome.
And like, there's no signs of it slowing down. I mean, it's
getting crazier by the day.
It's just stupid. I mean, that's why I can't even. There's like that many people that love Lego, and I don't know whether. And I think a lot of it too is like social media has been a big component to that, where all the local communities, like, they have like Lugs, is kind of like their own little local group. For like here in Dallas, we got the Texas Lug, which is in Fort Worth, and it's basically like a little snake society where they do their little monthly meetings, and instead of talking snakes and going to catch shit, they're talking Legos. And I guess whoever coordinates that, they do like monthly events or building contests for whatever type of theme or whatever. And so they get this design theme or whatever they're going to do, and they run to Brickle, and you can buy all the pieces. And so I know that's one component. One component has to be people that are, I don't know, super creative, and they're making their own massive Lego room or just buying parts.
Well, I'm sure COVID had something to do with it.
Yeah, COVID probably had a lot to do with it. Yeah, it had a lot to do with it.
I was going to ask if you thought it was partially that, or if you saw that maybe it was a, I don't want to use fad, that's not really fair, but a cultural flare-up. Because like we talked about earlier, I spent like 3 hours yesterday watching a live stream or a live TikTok live or whatever of a kid opening Pokemon cards. And like, that has become a massive thing. And Pokemon, I mean, I don't know how old you are. But back in the late 90s when I was a kid, Pokemon was like the thing, right? But
Oh, man.
but and I sold my 1,000 Pokemon cards, whatever I had when I was like 12 years old, to my neighbor for $60. There was probably in today's market tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff in there.
I don't know if you paid attention, but last year I bought a Hayabusa was selling 12 Pokemon cards.
Jesus. I don't know. I don't know if it's well, people say the same thing about the snake market. I don't know if it's got staying power. You know what I mean?
For me, it's been like I think I'm just like diehard collector, a sorter, hoarder, if you want to call it that.
You're way too organized to be a hoarder.
But with the Pokemon perspective, like when my oldest daughter Taylor, how old was she? 90. That's what 99. So she was going to be like 11, 12 ish that time, and she loved freaking Pokemon. And I actually bought 2 first edition base set booster boxes off eBay and gave them to her. Wow. And at that time, I didn't give a fuck about a Pokemon card. It's like stupid cartoon shit. And I did basically baseball cards. Like I was big in the old vintage where I put together like 69 top set, a 64 top set. And that was my thing where every payday I would go out and buy a couple cards to complete whatever set I was working on. But I was always been an asshole when it came to taking care of them and keeping them pristine. And I think at that time, PSA just came out, and I hadn't got to the point where I'd send any cards off or anything, but I kept them in the little slabs with the recessed card holder so that nothing would happen to them. And I did the same shit with her stuff. And then fast forward 20 freaking years later, I still have all our stuff sitting in the freaking garage. And I'm like, I think right around Pokemon Go just came out then. And so that was the latest Pokemon trend because it died for a while. And then it kind of came back, and that kind of pushed my interest to pull the shit out of the garage and see what was in there and look up eBay and see what shit was selling for. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, And then I'm looking at some of the PSA graded stuff, and I don't know if you know Luis Alonso. Do you know him?
Sounds familiar.
He's in South Florida. And coincidentally, he's a great snake guy, but also another Pokemon nerd. And got to the point where I basically created a PSA account, and I'm sending in a couple hundred cards every month to PSA to get graded. And basically was just collecting them. Instead of just doing a raw set, I was making slab sets and would sit on them. And like, I still think, and I've sold almost all of it, but I still have, I think, 2 stainless suitcases that are packed full of all Wizards of the Coast first edition cards. I just haven't sent them in or had time to do with it, but it's just one of those trends where I guess you can really consider that faddish. But right now, Pokemon is just freaking completely out of its mind.
Yes, the weird thing is it's come back around again 30 years later for some reason. And we don't know, but it's huge. I see stupid money. Like I think it was on Facebook. One another was an Isaac Martinez. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And he posted some Charizard or Dragonite or some shit that he pulled in a case for like $750, $1,000 here, like just stupid money. And it sickens me because I know I had a bunch of that stuff when I was a kid. And it's like my wife, her and her sister, when they were kids, got a ton of Beanie Babies. And that's come back around again too. And we're like, we need to go dig through your mom's attic or whatever and find them all, because there could be 5 figures worth of Beanie Babies in there, and you just don't know it.
Yeah, but that's I guess collecting in its nature. That's kind of what it is. You buy shit and you put it away. I mean, and the Lego is the same way. I mean, I don't know, have you ever seen like the huge Millennium Falcon that they made? It's like 5-something thousand pieces. The first ones they came out with were in, I want to say 2004, 2005 when the first one came out. And I wasn't a big seller or anything like that way back then, but I was always a deal finder. And I just happened to run across Lego Lego's website, and they put them on clearance for like 40% off. And so I basically bought them for like $350 a piece, and I bought 4 of them and just sat on them. And then during those phases of being in Lego and out of Lego, and they basically went in storage for like 6-7 years. And then I got back into it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go see what all this stuff's worth. And that one set was like $1,250, and I'm like, holy shit, you know. I threw it on eBay, and it sold for like $1,300 for just one.
Yeah.
And then I want to say 6 months later, I sold the second one for like $2,500. And then this is probably more Christmas time. I sold the third one at Christmas time. It was like almost $4,000.
Wow.
And it's like, so there is investment value to sitting on that type of stuff.
Well, along those lines, are you at all in this crypto phase?
You know, I played around. I got a couple $100 invested in Robinhood with some of the shit Sean Gray was saying do, but I can't even consider me anywhere close to being a professional. Any of that shit. It's just like, oh look, I lost $20 today. Oh yeah, I lost $15 today. You know, oh look, I just made $60. But it's not like, I mean, I think if you're lucky and you get into the whatever stock or whatever at the right time, and you're able to get a significant quantity, it'd be worth your while. But for me, I don't know, just dabbling with it.
Yeah, Josh Lundberg got me riled up about it. I guess he's done very well in a few different coins or whatever. But my thing is, I'm not in the position like a lot of these guys, because he brought on Bob Vu and a couple other guys that are throwing stupid money at some of these new coins, that are 5 decimal places behind the zero and whatnot. And I was like, I can't bring myself. First of all, I don't have it. And second of all, I can't bring myself to put that kind of money out there in something I just flat ass don't understand. That doesn't have an intrinsic value. It isn't anything.
I'm right there with you. I totally agree.
It's not like there is an intrinsic value of all the Legos in that room. Obviously, there's something there, but the crypto just doesn't. I don't know. And I find myself, so I threw $100 at SafeMoon a while back, and it's done nothing and whatnot. And I find myself compulsively looking at that portfolio every day, multiple times a day, seeing the like $4 of change I see up and down. I'm like, if I had thousands of dollars in this, I'd drive myself insane watching.
Yeah. No, I got into I don't know, a couple of the medical stocks for like, I don't know, Pfizer, and it's done pretty good. It's more stable than anything. It's not as volatile as the crypto stuff.
Yeah.
And I did the Dogecoin. I got a bunch of that, and then the Ethereum. And they're good and bad. There's like, I think I put $200 into it. And then I've had it up to 360, and I think right now it's like 212, 211.
Yeah.
So it's volatile, but you just wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to see another Bitcoin that went from $25 to 50,000 in a matter of years, but I don't think that's going to happen again. But I guess I don't know. It's hard to say because I just don't get it. You know what I mean? So Emily, I have to ask you, because I've seen on your Instagram that you've got like 47 dogs or something. And what's the story with all the dogs? And it seems like there's a different one every day now.
Yeah, she's an animal hoarder.
You hoard Legos and she hoards animals. You guys are made for each other.
I get rid of them. So I'm a sucker for dogs, obviously.
You and me both.
Yeah, and I just foster. So a lot of them, my main foster, I fostered through the Rescue as Montana Pity Project. They're
actually up by you.
So that's why I keep checking my phone, because they're on a transport right now with one of my foster dogs. So I'm trying to make sure they make it in safe. I don't know. I love them. I have a soft spot for pitties. They're just completely misunderstood. And I have 3 of them. 3. And so I'm trying to adopt one of the puppies that I have. And so we're kind of going back and forth on it. It's going to happen. So yeah, I bring in a ton of fosters recently. The last couple weeks, I got a little overwhelmed because a lot of
cat season.
It was cat season, so I brought in a bunch of bottle fed kittens. I've bottle fed kittens a bunch, so I had about 14 of those, and then dogs. We brought in a pregnant mama from Laredo. They were about to euthanize her. She was days from popping. I couldn't let it happen, so I brought her in. She just had 6 puppies a couple weeks ago, and then I had 3 or 4 other foster dogs. Right now, we only have 1 foster dog, right? 1. Yeah, we have 1 plus her 6 puppies. So all of them just went on a transport recently, and then the kittens we're working on finding homes for. But yeah, I'm just a big foster sucker.
No wonder it's so difficult to find a rental. It's not the snakes that are the problem.
It's the dogs. So
especially being pits, like you said, they're super misunderstood.
They're completely misunderstood. Like so we have 2 pits and a chocolate lab. And one of our pits, Maverick, I swear to you, is a lab. I think him and our lab have complete opposite. They've switched bodies is really what it is, because our lab, she's 6 months old and she will growl and bark at every stranger she sees. It's insane. And then Maverick, our pit, is just the most lovable thing. Like, he doesn't know a stranger. He's our show dog. He goes to a lot of the shows. But yeah, it's just, I'm a sucker for them. They're just misunderstood. There's so many in the shelters. I just feel like I got to take them home, give them some love, find them a good family.
So is that your full-time focus, or do you have a different career as well?
No, so that I actually make no money off of whatsoever. I actually lose money fostering. But no, I am a closing coordinator. I work at a mortgage company Monday to Friday.
So you're probably super busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been pretty crazy. We've had some serious slow days, but I mean, the last 2 days it's picked up like nobody's business.
Yeah. I just can't. I was watching a TikTok of a car dealership guy that I follow before we started, and he was saying the same thing about trucks. And I know that cars are outrageous right now too. And I just don't get it. Like, the only reason that the markets are the way they are is because people are willingly paying these obscene numbers for vehicles and homes and whatever else. And I just don't understand. Like, if we didn't do that, obviously there is an inventory shortage. There's no denying that. But if I just don't get it. I mean,
at least on the housing aspect, I mean, I want to say, at least half of the houses are selling out here are people from Seattle, Colorado, or California.
Yeah, ours are too.
They're paying full cash anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 above asking price. So there's no competing.
Yeah, if you ever lived in California, I mean, you know what the real estate prices out there are. Yeah. Then you come here in Texas and you're like, Jesus, what I was paying for, I get a freaking mansion.
Yeah,
and that's basically what people are doing.
My mom's neighborhood is like super nice, and that's where we've been staying. And half of them are already talking about selling their houses because it's outrageous for what they can get for it.
And then this is what 3 bedroom? It's a 3 bedroom.
It's 4 bedroom.
4?
It's 4 bedroom, 4 bath. It's like a 4,000 square foot house, but my mom can sell it for over $1 million right now.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
It's stupid.
Like, yeah, we quit on trying to buy a house right now because we're going to spend way more than what the house is worth, and then give it 6 months when the market chills out. I mean, we're screwed. We're not going to get any money out of it.
Yeah. Well, and part of the problem is too, because I was looking at that with my truck, because I got an offer that was what I paid for my truck 3 years ago, and I was like, oh man, that's sweet. I could pay off the loan and take some money out and pay cash for another. But problem is, you can't buy another one.
To give you a perspective on that, like the last F-150 I had was 2008. I had like 320,000 miles on it, and we just had a massive hailstorm where it got beat the fuck, and dents everywhere. And insurance come out and did appraisal, and I'm expecting to get like $2,500 or some stupid shit. They gave me almost $9,000 for that truck.
Wow, they total it?
Yeah.
They totaled
Wow.
everything. That hailstorm was insane.
Yeah.
It was like baseball sized.
Yeah, because you have an SUV or something, right? They got all, was it the windshield got all blown out and whatnot too?
Oh, my whole car is
Yeah.
destroyed. And that's like my baby.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
that's
gonna
not, you guys get ridiculous summer weather, but that's
Well,
pretty
this is
unusual
not
that it's
normal.
that extreme, right?
Yeah, and
No.
this is not normal. Like the winter storm is not normal. We've had like 4 huge spurts of hail lately, the last like month. And then these thunderstorms are insane. Like we've had tornadoes how many times? The
Twice.
past the
Last
past month. Like
Jeez.
2 huge tornadoes right next to us. I mean, it's just outrageous. Like this is not Texas. We get storms, don't get me wrong, but this is not.
It's global warming.
It's been a crap year.
It's all Al Gore's fault.
Yeah.
We got stuck coming home from the Gulf Coast last weekend over Dallas. We were supposed to connect in there first thing in the morning, and we spent 45 minutes, like 80 miles from there, waiting for the storm to roll through because it was beating the hell out of the airport and we couldn't get in. And then we sat on the ramp for an hour and a half on the second airplane, waiting for the second round to pass through so we could leave.
Yep.
It's stupid. And in my career field, it's tough because a lot of people that travel on the airlines and that, they're like, oh, ATC delays this and they're metering here, and it's not our fault more often than not. And there's not a lot I can do. And I sit up there and talk to pilots all the time. I'm like, I tried my best to get you in when I could, but Dallas is just saying no, or Denver's like, Denver airport is closed because of the snow or whatever, So, oh, hey, we got freaking live stream royalty in the house. Mr. Cusco. Yeah, I'll let that stand on its own. That's
We love you.
Brian is awesome, people. I love Brian a lot, but he walked off the live stream with him, so I kind of provoked it, to be fair. But he did. It was him and Garrett were on together, and he thought I was focusing too much on Garrett, and I threatened him to leave, and he did. So, But no, Brian's been really good people to me from the very beginning, so I had to have him on early on. So what we got a question in here from Johnny. Johnny Williams says, "What are you working on? Any new or cool projects? I know you said that your season's going to be kind of slim, but is there any long-term stuff you guys have been planning or working on?"
No, I mean she did really good this year for her first clutch.
I got my first clutch.
Yeah.
So you starting your own thing then? You got your own gig?
I just, I'm kind of sick of being the sidekick. I want to do something cool. So I got one clutch and that's about it.
And what was that?
It was an Xanthic Firefly, which is actually the snake I had bought from him, how we met, to a, Vanilla Scream OD Clown.
Wow. What line of Xanthic do you work with?
BPI.
Okay. So you said you were former Navy, or retired Navy, Mike. What'd you do there?
I was a corpsman. So basically, I don't. If you're not in the military, you probably don't know it, but Army.
I don't know all the Navy terminology. I know most of the other ones.
Yeah. All the other ones are MOSs, Navies, or NECs, which is a Navy enlisted classification code. And for me, I was an IDC, which is independent duty corpsman. And so I always tell people, you look at it, the Navy can't afford to put a physician on all the ships in the Navy. So they basically send us to a year-long school to basically, it's kind of like a crash course and a PA's course. So you basically are taught normal, and you do thousands of fucking physical exams. So when you see something abnormal, you know it's abnormal, and you can run up to CIC, get on the bat phone, and talk with the physician and kind of arrange care that way. So I basically took care of the crew on the ships that I were on.
But in the medical field though.
Yeah, it's strictly medical.
Interesting. What and you did a full tour then of, what was it, 20 years or whatever?
21.
And did you do a bunch of time at sea as well?
About 8 years.
Wow, in total, I imagine. Not not in one sitting.
Now, longest one was a year, and then most of them are just scheduled 6 to 7 month deployments.
What's that like?
What do you mean?
Just in general, because I've been on cruises.
I thought you've been on the boat in the water, right? I mean,
yeah, right. Yeah, but
no different.
For that many months at a time, and out in the middle of nowhere.
Their perspective is like everybody has their job, you know, and basically you're waking up in a different environment than what you're working in. So you wake up, you go take a shower, and you basically go to work. And for me, I worked at sick bay, so I was in the medical ward. I would spend all day working there. Then you still have normal working hours, so like 1600, 1700, whenever it's knock off. Then you go up and they have different lounges throughout the ship, depending on what type of ship you go. Some of them got fucking bowling alleys, but movie theaters. I mean, depending on the type of ship you go to. But
that'd be a neat trick at sea.
Yeah, I was generally more of the smaller platform, so like 300 or 400 max crew and lower. So, but you have crew lounges. You go hang out, watch movies, play cards, whatever. Go to bed and you get to do the whole thing. I mean, I've done it where I didn't even step outside for like 2 months at a time. There's just
wow.
You just never had that need to go out and go topside. But there's some people that are like her. She couldn't go a day without being in the sun.
But you go. I mean, you'd go days or weeks without ever seeing anything other than water, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'd be in the boat for 2 weeks and not even been outside. I mean, for me, like whether the ship's tied up to the pier, my surroundings is still the same. I mean, and nothing's really different for me.
Interesting.
I mean, at least that's how I looked at it.
Yeah, I guess it takes a special breed too. I don't know that I could do it. I got approached when I was in college for the nuclear program as a pathway to F-18s, and I thought very seriously about doing it. But that was long before I had considered going to the military. I didn't think the military was for me at all, and I was like, there is no way in hell I'm signing up for 8-month turns in a freaking submarine underwater where I can't see the light of day. You can go straight to hell with that. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that. Did you spend any time in a sub?
No. I mean, ironically enough, I mean, I tell you, I do that and not worry about seeing daylight, but I think maybe it's the implosion aspect that just petrifies me, and I just can't do it.
Kind of a claustrophobic thing.
Not even claustrophobic. It's just being imploded, you know, and just being crushed. I mean, like I said.
Yeah, but how likely is that?
Probably a bazillion to one, but it's possible.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But you just know that there is a possibility somehow. And
this is the most pessimistic person you'll ever meet.
I don't know that that's true.
No, it is. Glass is always
empty.
It's always half empty until proven otherwise.
Well, yeah, but you've arguably got one of the biggest hearts for the community and for the people in your circle in that too, because you were the instrumental force behind the Chase auction and the JT auction, weren't you?
The Chase one I'll take credit for, but not instrumental. I mean, it was kind of me, JT, Justin, sitting down talking and say, hey, we got to do something. What do you think we should do? And create the Facebook charity group was one of it. And I just happened to have the time to do it. So I did it. And that in itself was an animal. It just went out of control. I mean, It was fantastic that it did, but it blew all our expectations away for it. JTs, I mean, I kind of same thing where me, Jack and Heidi, Austin, we're sitting down trying to figure out what we can do for JT to help. And it was do that. I mean, I did create the page, but that happened to be right in the middle of me doing the separation thing with the wife and leaving. And my personal just life wasn't into it. So I basically gave the reins to Jack and Heidi, and they did everything for JT.
What was it?
And Jackie did it too, a lot.
Yeah, Jackie did it.
What was it about those two scenarios, or especially Chase's deal, that really pulled at your desire to do something about it? Well,
Oh, I mean, I think it's just being a parent. I mean, anybody that's, and ironically enough, like I'm the same age as Chase's parents, you know, and then I'm putting myself in my, actually, what was Chase, 20, he's 23. I got a kid at the same age as Chase. And I'm like, I can't imagine my kid going through that.
I thought Chase was older than that.
He's not
I don't know why.
26, right? 26?
He's my age, I think.
I thought he was like mid-30s is what I would have guessed.
I think he's older.
I think he's 26. I think he's the same age as Taylor, right? Anyway, he's relatively close to one of my kids, but I think he's in his mid-20s. But as a parent, you know, you just can't comprehend having to go through that. And even with me with the military and supposedly having the free healthcare or somewhat free healthcare, them being on a private HMO with the crap that they had to go through. I mean,
yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for him, you know. And I was like, yeah, maybe we can just help a little bit so they don't have to mortgage their house or sell something, you know. And that was our goal, but it literally just went crazy.
Yeah, that one was super impressive, and it was topped off by the fact that he freaking killed it, and he's doing awesome. I mean, now I see him on Instagram climbing mountains and shit. Like that is super inspiring, and it's good to see that went to a good cause and actually went to solve that, because I can't imagine. I mean, I'm a new parent, so I don't have that perspective yet, but I could not imagine.
Well, I just imagine how much you love your kid, you know, and 17 years from now, you're going to love them just as much, if not more, you know.
I was told I have to love them. I don't have to like them.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll have those phases.
Yeah. And then the JT one, that was just, you know, there was
even though, and that was kind of fucked up in itself, where it was just recently somebody was fucking busting his balls about taking advantage of the community, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I mean, we
were there. We helped him. It was bad.
Yeah, we did a walkthrough through his fucking house and posted pictures. I mean, none of that shit was fucking fake.
It was bad.
I mean, I don't know. I just, maybe an envy, jealousy on somebody's part or whatever. I just don't.
I was gonna say, I don't understand.
Humanity in itself, you could be that cruel or be that negative or pessimist on somebody doing something good for somebody. It's not like nobody went and twisted their arm and said, you had to fucking donate this fucking animal, or you have to give this much, or you won't be in this group kind of bullshit. I mean, if somebody had an excess or a surplus of something and they donated it, that was fantastic, you know, and it went to a good cause. But I mean, there were people questioning that he was abusing the system. I'm just like,
we all know what we were donating for.
I don't know. Then that in itself just makes you fucking hate fucking people in general, you know.
No, I get that for sure, because I had heard similar dealings about that it wasn't, you know, it was one small section of a part of his building that he didn't use, you know, those were extra tubs or whatever. Two, all the stuff that he and Austin and that were putting up were his surplus animals that he hadn't been able to move, and they were just using it as a platform. And I was like, dude, what does anybody have to gain by coming at it like that? You know what I mean? It's like,
no, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, JT ran his business out of his house, and he's like the typical bachelor. Like, you walk into his house, he's got a couch with a TV leaned up against the wall. Everything else is fucking snakes. I mean, it's racks and racks of t-shirt stuff that's for sale.
It all was burned.
Yeah, it's racks and racks of shipping supplies.
Yeah,
that's his living room.
The reptile,
you know, that's his living room.
Everything.
Kitchen is a big giant breeding board of what's going with what, you know, and like where his kitchen is, the room right behind it was a bedroom that he converted to his snake room. In the incubator room is basically, I think it was like two bedrooms, or a bedroom and a bathroom, where he gutted the wall on it and just made it one big room. And that was his reptile room, you know. And that wall that basically caught on fire was the backside of the kitchen, and so like all that heat generated right there and basically smoked all his males and grow-ups was that one wall, and then the females were on the opposite wall. And it's literally, it had to be a good 60-70% of the animals fucking died, you know. And then I think
they had respiratory
yeah,
infections
he even had
after,
some
like,
die after the fact because
Yeah.
of the smoke inhalation.
I mean, it was bad. We were scrubbing tubs 2 or 3 times to even get them semi-clean.
Yeah, I can't even. There's nothing. There's very few things more devastating and hard to absorb in life than losing a home to a fire. But when it takes out your entire livelihood all in one shot, too, like that's not to mention the compassion for the animals, obviously.
Yeah. Well, he had stuff that he couldn't replace.
And even like at the time, I think Austin had just signed on to be his like full-time ReptiChip employee. And so his garage was converted into like a ReptiChip sorter, soaker type, sifter type. I don't know what the fuck you call it. But he was basically breaking down all the bricks into those mini chunks and super chunks of all that shit he's doing for the ReptiChunk stuff. And basically that's what Austin was doing in the garage. And like all that shit got ruined. I mean, if it didn't catch on fire, it got ruined by the smoke. You know, and I don't know.
Yeah, I try my best. I've definitely put my foot squarely in my mouth in this community a couple of times, but stuff like that, I just don't understand what there is to gain. So I don't know, but I appreciate. I mean, we've got a little over an hour now. I mean, we've only had a couple of weird stammerings where I'm trying to figure out questions to ask, but is there anything else you guys wanted to hit on, or
no, Smith, your interview, dude. You ask whatever you want to know.
Yeah, this is my problem with Brian, is I didn't have anything to ask him because Brian does all the talking.
You at least got to prepare and have like kind of like Bradley or Chris, where you got like a set questions you're going to ask no matter what, and then let the conversations deviate from those.
Yeah, I probably should start doing that, but I've just never been one to over prepare like that. I just like the casual back and forth conversation. And you know, it's funny. I had somebody ask me, I don't know if it was Antoine or not, but somebody asked me about that. Are some interviews more difficult to conduct than others? And they can be. A lot of the times I'm getting to the point now, like with you guys, where I'm having people on that I haven't necessarily met or spoken to a lot previously. And so that's a little bit more difficult. And those probably should have a little more research, I guess, or planning behind them. But other things that sometimes you got to be real delicate with a situation. Like when I had Desiree and Stephen Cush on early on, first of all, I was like the second or third episode, so I had no idea what I was doing, but I had to kind of be a little bit delicate with the whole forest thing. Obviously, I didn't know how to broach that or where my place was, and I had only spoken to Desiree once. Yeah, you know, but some of the interviews just really take off, and I get guys like you said, like Chris Eaton or Earl a couple weeks ago that you can't shut the guy up. So. And those are the ones that run long, but I guess at this point we've hit on, I guess, more than I anticipated. I'll put it that way.
Well, hopefully everybody's educated on Legos.
On Legos, yeah.
Try the next level displays. Isn't that what Cody and Alex have?
When is that the next level?
Isn't that what Cody and Alex have?
A couple of our buddies use those. I mean,
I've got a set of them too.
Yeah, I do like them, but I don't like the lights.
Really? Why not?
They don't compare to JSAs.
That's fair.
Or the light guys, you know. I mean, the whole show thing is presenting your animals, you know. But I do love, like, a couple of my friends have those, and it's like I'm still like 50 minutes into setup and taping heat tape and covering shit up, and they come in, hey, what's up?
They're done.
They're done, and they're off looking around the show. So I mean, there are pros to them, but I'm not spending $800 for something I'm gonna have to tinker and modify with to make it to where I would like it. I'm not saying they're not bad by any means. It's just personal preference for me.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I was going to go the route of like the ARS clears and then get a couple sets of those and then get the JSA lights and the whole 9 yards. And for me, since the majority of our shows are traveled to usually a substantial distance. The fact that these
You can
next
heat
level
them.
displays are all self-contained, and I can even have them on heat in the car or in the hotel room or whatever.
And
I can just
that
plug
was
it
the
in.
biggest component where I was really debating about dumping all the ARS stuff and getting it kept falling to the lights, you know, and I couldn't get past it.
Yeah, and if you're not traveling a lot, you know, very far, more of a
Finland's like the
setup.
only far one. The others are all a couple hours.
Yeah.
Man, I wish we had that access to shows. Jeez. All right, you guys. Yeah, if you didn't have anything else, I guess I'll let you go. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for sure. It's been fun. I'm more fascinated by the Legos than anything else.
When you get bored, go pull up Bricklink and look around. But I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, there's like some of the like minifigures, like what was it? The Lego,
the Ninjago Gardens.
Yeah, the Ninjago City Gardens was like a big set. It just came out for them, and it was what, like $299 for like 3,400 something pieces or something like that. No, it's 5,000. It was like 5,000 pieces for that set, and they came out with one gold Ninja Master or whatever they are, and the little fucker sold for $85. You know, just the one.
Jesus, why?
25 figures in that entire set, and the cheapest one I think was $11. So you're making your money right there off of just the figures.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy.
But why? I think that's the part I don't get.
People collect. It's collectors. I mean, even like me, I have I can see them, but I have all the Star Wars up there on the little characters that I've been saving, and all my dinosaurs. You know.
All your dinosaurs.
Brody's dinosaurs. My son's dinosaurs.
One of them is.
No, the Ankylosaurus and the Indominus Rex are both Brody's.
Are those like the cast ones that you get at like zoos and stuff?
No, I mean they're actual Legos.
Oh, really?
Jurassic.
It's just a Lego mold.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's just people get into where they want to collect all the Star Wars characters. They want to collect just the Jedis or just the Stormtroopers or just the Sith, you know, people just want the dinosaurs. I mean, I don't know. It's just stupid. I mean,
it's weird. You'll get like a couple orders that are like
the Marvel and the superheroes and all that shit. I mean, it's just crazy.
The 2-cent one with like the $5 shipping.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people buy a 2-cent part and then spend $4.50 on shipping. And
it's insane. It's like one tiny
and it cost me like $3.20 to ship it, so I'm making $1 something on 2 cents. I mean, it's just stupid.
That's do you not build, like, buy kits for yourself to build anymore?
I mean,
it's all up there. He tried to take my decor down in the house and put Lego sets up.
Oh my god! You just commandeered an entire room.
No. Well, I do have all the big ones, but they're all in storage. And like with us temporary being here, I just don't have the display for them. So I keep all the little busts and my Ultimate Vader and stuff. Like it's a big wall mural.
That's going to be a nightmare to move.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh, jeez.
Because what is there, like 40 something of them? No, there's more than that, isn't it?
Oh, there's way more.
Yeah. Oh, those racks?
Yeah, there's got to be like 50 plus of those.
Well, there is a question in the comments, but I'm going to actually use that to get to another one that I thought of.
Right.
I referenced the Lego stuff. What is the top dollar? Like, what is the biggest or the most expensive thing you've either bought or sold in the world of Legos?
Legos? The biggest is going to be the Coliseum. It just came out. And I just bought that. I don't even remember how many pieces. Like 9,000 something pieces.
Oh, I think.
Yeah,
it was like a $700 set.
Yeah, it was like.
See, and you bought that for the inventory? Or are you going to build it?
No, I bought that for me.
Oh, okay.
Didn't it get ruined though?
No.
Oh, okay.
Most expensive thing I sold for Lego?
Probably that gold figure.
No, it would have been Do I got one up there?
Well, you said that older Millennium Falcon or whatever set was.
Oh, I mean, but that was like.
That's more vintage stuff, though,
Yeah,
right?
that's in the eBay days, not necessarily the Lego store. I think the most expensive thing I sold in here was like $140, and it was for a limited edition poly bag, and it came with the all chrome Stormtrooper. And those back, like, remember I told you I went through the phases back in the, God, I don't know how long. It had to be the beginning of all the Clone Wars, so like early 2000s, somewhere in there. You'd buy stuff through Lego, and they would send this with you as a gift with purchase. And I had like 5 or 6 of them just stuffed in the bin that I found when I started pulling all this crap out. And they happened to turn into a free gift with purchase to being worth over $100.
Well, that's a nice feature.
Yeah.
It's like if I wish Cracker Jacks would do something like that.
Yeah. No, but then there's stuff. I mean, like last year I bought like Lego, and if you don't know, Lego comes out with free sets for the employees at Christmas. And so last year's gift for them was a holiday themed X-Wing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, here, I'll show it to you.
I'm not a Star Wars nerd at all, but that sounds cool.
No, I am. But let's see if we can get on.
Oh, that's rad. So it's like what Santa would fly if he had an X-Wing. And
it's like that. That is probably, I don't know. I mean, I paid a couple $100 for it when it very first came out, but I think they're like $400 or $500 now, just because they're limited production, and there's a massive desire for those being Star Wars in one. Then you get a limited production with just the employees got them.
The tough part with that kind of stuff for me, the reason I'm not a collector is that's probably worth more
not open
in its box with all the little baggies sealed and everything else. And I'd want to build the damn thing and put it on display.
Well, that's the reason I got a storage locker full of Lego sets.
Yeah. That's
but
crazy.
Most of the stuff that's store related is it's the stuff I pick up at Walmart clearance. Nothing really limited production or exclusive through Legos. It's all the run-of-the-mill stuff you would see at Walmart or Target, but all the parts are the same.
And that's all for volume at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Interesting. But as far as Johnny's question is concerned, what's the most expensive snake you've either bought or sold? And how long have you been breeding?
Oh God, hey, we didn't even talk about that, huh?
Yeah. I told you we weren't going to talk snakes.
Yeah. I retired in 2009 from the Navy. I mean, I'd always had snakes.
I won't tell you what I was doing in 2009.
Yeah, probably in diapers.
No, I was graduating high school in 2009.
Okay. But I'd always kept snakes, but it would be like with the Navy, it was very strict on PCS rotation.
Yeah.
So every 3 to 4 years, I was moving somewhere, and I would have to get rid of the snakes, or I would go on deployment. And my wife didn't want to watch the snakes or feed them. It was more, she didn't want to feed them. So I would give them to my friends or sell them. Mm-hmm. And then when I retired, I basically didn't have to worry about moving anymore. And so the snakes that at that time, it was more the collector thing where I had just kind of got into, because I was, I guess, snake wise, I was more like a Morella fan. Like I love green tree pythons. And that was my living room, as I had a whole wall of the PVC cages with the boral displays just stacked on top of each other in the whole back wall.
That's cool.
I never really thought about breeding. It was just, I like them. And then the kids like reptiles. So they finally took me to a snake convention or snake show. And then I basically discovered ball pythons. At that time, I thought ball python was a brown dirt snake, and I didn't know that any of that Morris or any of that shit existed, except maybe I think albino. I think I'd seen an albino before, and I've never been a fan of those. But I think that I ran into it, and I started seeing champagnes and bumblebees and all that shit. And I basically started buying them, and then I had them as more of like just pets. And like for me with the OCD, I had to have something different. So I already had this morph, so I needed another one, or I needed this. And at the time I got into it, I probably had 60 ball pythons with 50 of them all being fucking boys. but they're all genetically different, you know. And then I guess with anything within the hobby, you start learning more about it. You start getting into the forums and social media. I think Facebook had just started, and a couple of snake groups where you could kind of basically learn stuff and see what other people were doing. And I think everybody was still kind of doing Ralph Davis's YouTube and private chat channel. King Snake, and then what is it? BP. I can remember. There's another forum that was really popular.
Fauna?
No, not Fauna. Fuck, what's it? I thought I'd think of it in a second. But you basically did that, and I started like, well, I'm going to try the breeding thing. So I grew some girls up. I mean, but they're freaking normals. You know, I went to the show, and oh, you got a normal female here, I'll buy it. And then I had a little arsenal of like 10, 15 normal females with all these cool males. And then got my first clutch in 2012. And then basically that clutch paid for all the shit I had bought. And I was like, God damn, I could actually make some money at this if I had the right females, because all I had was normals. And then just kind of started, like, same with the Legos, it just kind of started growing. And then every snake show I'm going to, I'm buying a couple of girls here, a couple of girls there. And then 3 or 4 years down the road, all them females are adults and going into breeding window, you know. And now 20 snakes turned into 60, then 60 turned into 200, and then it just grew. And kind of, well, I don't say I'm kind of reverting right now, but up until this year, everything has been always expanding or constantly upgrading, where you're getting rid of 1, 2, 3 gene codoms and replacing them with recessives or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I guess 2009 was the beginning of it, and then 2012's first clutch.
Wow. And then, so what's the highest dollar thing you've produced and sold?
Oh my God. Probably the most expensive snake I've made has been an OD Inchy Vanilla Scream Clown, but I kept them.
Wow.
I don't even know what that would price at. I would think it had to be probably close to 10K, if not more than that.
It's the brother to mine, right?
Yeah, it's a brother to the one I sold her. But I kept it. All the cool clowns, I mean, I've kept them.
The most expensive thing you
selling, bought? I think it was like $5,000, and that was it was $5,000, and it was to Justin the year I made the banana puzzles. He bought one of the.
That'd be rad. You know you've made it when somebody like Justin starts buying stuff from you. That's
what I told Justin, and yeah. He basically just kind of laughed till we shut the fuck up.
That's when you know you're doing it right. Banana puzzle, that'd be sweet. I have a very long shot at puzzle down the road, but the girl quit eating, so who knows if that'll ever happen. So I've had to do mine the hard way with pos heads and pos double heads, and I did the same mistake everyone else did and bought all the males first. And so, you know, we're just now coming around to where it's actually carrying its own weight and putting money back in my pocket, which is nice. But as I have to go back to your Navy days real quick before we get done here, because you said that you're a glass half empty kind of guy.
Yep.
So where is the absolute worst place you've been?
Sitting in a foxhole in Iraq on my 21st birthday.
Oh, lucky you. I went to basic training on my 21st birthday.
I was pregnant on my 21st.
Yeah, I don't know which of the three of these is bad.
Yeah, I think I'll stay in the foxhole.
Yeah, I don't know which of the three is worse. So what were you doing in Iraq then?
With me being a corpsman or medic, you want to call it, the Marine Corps doesn't have medics, so they utilize Navy corpsmen. Yeah. And at that time in my career, I was like fucking E3. I was E3, and basically a peon. And so when the first Iraq war started, all of us got sent to not Camp Lejeune, but what was that camp? Davis? I don't know. It's a little sub camp off of Lejeune, but it's close to Lejeune in North Carolina. And went through like a mini boot camp for the Marine Corps to basically teach you all the Marine shit. And then you learn all the field medicine aspect to it. And so after doing that, then I got sent with 3-5 out of Pendleton for the war. So I was with a mechanized unit out of Pendleton.
How long were you there?
A year.
Oh, gross. That's My dad went to Egypt because he was in the Air Force. He was in medicine and drove the ambulance and worked in the ER. But he went to Egypt during the Gaddafi crisis.
Yeah.
And when they landed, it was a big endless sea of sand, and in 48 hours they had an entire hospital. It's like I can't. Speaking of JT, because I know JT was an operator of some kind. I don't know.
Well, he was guess what? Green Beret?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot of his background, but
he was Army Special Forces when he was active, and then when he got out, he basically did the operator aspect where he was more like personal security bodyguard.
Would you guys have been over there around the same time? You think?
I don't think so. I would have been way before. And by the time he came in, that's probably going to be like the first, I guess the end of the second Gulf kind of aspect. And I was already high enough in pay grade where I didn't have to worry about getting sent back over. Or I don't say, but it's more pay grade, but I was more valuable where I was at versus them sending me to the sand.
Yeah, so you didn't have to go back after.
No.
You didn't have to go back after 9/11 then.
No.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, it's been ugly. I don't have much of I have an opinion on all of that, but we're too late in the night to start that discussion. So
yeah, no politics.
Yeah. No, we did politics a couple of weeks ago. That was more fun. I got Bill Stiegel lit up about coronavirus. That was kind of exciting. So, all right, guys, I'm going to let you go for the night. Like I said, I really appreciate you coming on, hanging out, and I appreciate Emily getting him on front of the screen and come talk to some guy he doesn't know in the middle of nowhere.
No, yeah, like I said, it is all her because like I've been so with the separation, the divorce, the moving, I've been so out of social media because the snakes it's hard to stay motivated or excited about what's happening when nothing's happening with the snakes because of everything that's been going on.
And then we lost our house, and then we lost our cars.
I've just been so out of the social media realm for the last year.
I just want to check out of society for a couple of years.
That's pretty much what I've done. Signed out. And
well, as far as social media is concerned, where can people follow you guys and check out what you're doing?
Actually, I want to say probably Facebook or Instagram. And then I would say Morph Market. I think my Morph Market just expired yesterday.
Whoops.
Yeah, it was in Facebook or Instagram or come to one of the shows. That's where I meet most of my customers.
Oh, somebody in the comment real quick mentioned, are you thinking Bush League Forum?
Yes.
Yep. There you go. Bearded balls for the win.
LBC. Yep, that's it. Yep.
There you go. All right, guys. I appreciate it. And I'm going to set you aside real quick and sign out with everybody, and we'll be good to go if you got nothing else.
All right, man. Well, you have a good night.
Yep, appreciate it. All right, guys, there you go. Got Mike out of his Lego hole for a little bit to come hang out. And like I said, thanks to Emily for coordinating that for me. Next week, he's still in the chat, I think. Constricted Reptiles, Dale Richards is coming on for next week. So that'll be kind of fun. Dale's in the chat of every one of my streams. So we're going to bring him in front of the camera and start talking snakes because he's got some pretty cool projects. But I think that's it for this week, you guys. Stay tuned for everything else we got coming up. I skipped on the live stream for the first egg cutting. I had family in town, but I will obviously do an update of that clutch. There's kind of some disappointment in there, so we'll get to that with another video. And the next clutch due to cut is about 3 or 4 weeks out. So we'll definitely get back on that train of cutting those live. So make sure you're subscribed. Share this with somebody that you might think want to watch it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.